Welcome to KXAN News Today. Here are your Tuesday morning headlines. The Texas Senate could vote on the rules for impeachment for the trial of suspended State Attorney General Ken Paxton today. The attorneys prosecuting and defending Paxton still arguing over the rules of that trial. The House impeached Paxton for allegations ranging from bribery to abuse of office. The trial is expected to start at the end of August.
Austin Pets Alive hosting its 5th annual Raise a Day, where it can give an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the daily operations and programs that go into running the shelter. Today, APA hopes to raise $53,000, which is the cost of one full day of operations at the shelter.
A limited amount of Sunday-only Formula One tickets are going on sale today. The race is in October. It's at Circuit of the Americas. Sunday-only tickets are sold out, they sold out last year in record time. And this intense heat continues today. It could feel like 120 degrees, which is just startling to hear about, possibly the hottest on record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Miller.
And I'm Erica Brennis. Meteorologist Sean Kelly joining us now. Sean, yesterday at one point, it felt 116 degrees.
Yeah, this is getting ridiculous, right? And 116 actually may be one of the top 5 hottest feels like temperatures we've ever recorded here in Austin. Jeez. So just incredibly uncomfortable and incredibly dangerous if you're not taking the proper precautions. So we really want to emphasize that everyone's taking care of themselves and your neighbors, your pets are inside, because we continue to deal with this dangerous heat basically through the remainder of the weekend into the weekend. Yeah, we see some slight cooler temperatures by a few degrees, but it still is excessive, and it's still going to continue to be dangerous as this heat wave rolls on. We have excessive heat warnings all the way through the day today and into the day tomorrow. It feels like temperatures, as we just mentioned, as hot as 120 degrees. So that is enough for heat-induced illnesses to occur very quickly. You need to make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids, and please, again, be mindful of your pets and make sure you're taking frequent breaks indoors and under some shade if you are working outside. And if you have to be heading out, maybe you're doing a workout along the hike and bike trail, please get it done earlier rather than later, as we see these temperatures really spike up into the triple digits rather quickly. So it's 81 degrees right now. Another morning, we'll start off with some light fog and some cloudy skies, hazy conditions, some cooler temperatures though out in the hill country, where we saw some beneficial rain overnight and late last evening. 75 in Castell, 70 in Llano, that's not bad. Sitting at 78 from Manchaca down through Butte at 74. Further off towards the east, very warm, 82 in LaGrange, 82 in Schulenburg. Today will be one of the hottest of the next 7 days, as we see some slight relief by a few degrees, but that's it. We'll talk about more of the feels like temperatures and a check in the tropics that's becoming a little bit more active. That's ahead in First Warning Weather.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Caught on camera, a suspected thief shoving a store employee to the ground at a downtown Austin grocery store.
The employee is shaken up. The owner is fed up. He's not just worried about his customers, but anyone else who visits downtown. KXAN's Brianna Hollis shows us what happened.
Royal Blue at 3rd and Brazos.
Shyla Guthrie loves her job at Royal Blue Grocery.
I have a lot of pride for this store. I think everything we have is amazing.
But this moment
threw me, ripped my earring out.
Has her worried.
Got anxious about my job.
Take a closer look at this surveillance video, as Guthrie says she tried to stop the man from walking away with a handful of t-shirts. They get into a scuffle and he throws her on the ground.
And I just kind of thought to myself, like, is this our new normal?
It's my job to keep him safe, and I can't do it right now.
Craig Staley, one of the owners of the local grocery chain, says 3 of his employees have been assaulted since March, and these attacks happened during the day.
Petty crime with impunity has just gone through the roof.
Royal Blue Grocery's various downtown locations get targeted repeatedly, workers say.
It's getting worse and worse all the time.
In one prior case, we discovered a suspect caught on camera stealing from the store several times. He was arrested and released 7 times in a 2-month period for various crimes, including theft. Staley thinks a heavier police presence would stall the growing pattern of theft and violence, but he understands APD doesn't have the staff for that right now.
Like, you could walk out to the nearest corner and see an officer somewhere. It's just not like that today.
Being downtown, we constantly have to deal with this.
Brianna Hollis, KXAN News.
We asked APD about this incident itself, as well as how the department currently addresses downtown crime. We are expecting to hear back from the department today. Store owner hopes that the city considers adding more state troopers downtown if Department of Public Safety returns to support APD. Time is ticking for the U.S. Coast Guard to find a submersible that disappeared on Sunday. This went to explore the wreck of the Titanic.
According to Rear Admiral John Mauger of the U.S. Coast Guard, the sub and its 5-person crew started a dive Sunday morning, but lost contact with the main vessel after an hour and 45 minutes.
During the course of the dive, they lost communications, and we have not had communications with the submersible since then.
The Coast Guard says the location is 900 nautical miles east of Cape Cod in water that is 13,000 feet deep. NBC News' Tom Costello traveled to Boston overnight. He will have the latest reporting coming up later on today. The work continues to rebuild I-95 in Philadelphia, where it caught fire last week. Right now, crews are constructing temporary lanes that the governor said would reopen within 2 weeks. A Pennsylvania company is helping with that process. Aero Aggregate makes a material that comes from recycled materials like glass bottles and turns them into pellets or nuggets. It looks like a rock, but it's extremely lightweight. The material will be used to fill the hole on I-95, then will be paved over to create a temporary road, while construction on a permanent bridge will be built above that roadway.
We mill that mixed color glass into a very, very fine powder, almost like a talcum powder. And then we put it through a heating process that actually foams it into a cake. And when it comes out of the heating process, it's a solid cake of foam glass.
In total, 2,000 tons of the lightweight glass nugget will be used to rebuild this section of I-95. 2 power outages last week and issues over the weekend. What Austin says could be to blame.
And more remote workers are living in Austin, the record amount of growth the city saw during the pandemic.
Good Tuesday morning. Another dangerously hot day headed this way for us today. And right now, 81 degrees here as we look live in Buda. Hopefully your day is off to a cool start. Austin Energy says heat could be to blame for power outages in East Austin. About 2,700 customers in the area near FM 973 and Gilbert Road off SH 130. They were without power for about an hour on Sunday night.
Which is painful when it's this hot right now. Austin Energy says an equipment failure caused this, but high temperatures and the load on the circuit could have also played a role. Heat caused 2 blackouts last week. They left 8,000 customers without power. Austin Energy says these hot temperatures and the high number of people running their AC caused wires to heat up more than usual.
Hundreds of Central Texans are at risk for heat-related illnesses because they don't have air conditioning or fans in their home. You can help by scanning the QR code on your screen with your phone. It will take you to this year's Summer Fan Drive. KXAN is once again teaming up with the Family Elder Care to collect fans and donations. Our big drop-off event is next month on July 14th. Heat is the #1 weather-related killer with older adults, people with disabilities, and children more at risk.
The latest in our Destination Texas series. Today we're taking you up I-35 to Waco with the sights and sounds of the town that Chip and Joanna Gaines call home.
How to stay safe while training in the summer heat. One big thing to keep in mind while exercising outdoors. Good morning and happy Tuesday. I hope your day is off to a good start and maybe you have some fun plans for this toasty Tuesday that's headed our way, and it's already kind of toasty at 81 degrees. Good morning. You may recognize their names from flipping houses on your television, but Chip and Joanna Gaines do more than just renovate. They also run tours of the town that they call home. In this Destination Texas, Renako G shows you one of the best ways to see Waco.
Established in 2017, Brazos Tours brings you a Waco experience like no other. From exploring historical landmarks featured in Fixer Upper or delighting your taste buds at local eateries, Brazos Tours brings people together. Almost reaching their 5-year mark here in Waco, Brazos Tours is known to be the most robust touring company that offers 6 different types of touring experiences, one of the most popular being the Fixer Upper Tour, which runs 7 days a week and sometimes 4 times a day, depending on demand.
This is why people are coming to Waco, is to see what Chip and Joanna have been up to here for the past number of years, and so we are really excited to be able to share.
This award-winning experience is open to all ages, with activities to entertain families and those wanting to get to know Waco in an intimate way.
You're going to see the local food scene, the local beer scene, the local wine scene, as well as what Chip and Joanna have been up to, and even some spooky scenes that are very historic, and it's just all a really unique way to be able to get to know a city that you're visiting.
Drawing crowds from all over the world, travelers bond with others on the tour, and everyone takes a piece of Waco back home with them.
I still actually communicate with somebody in Australia that's been on my tour, so that's really fun for me.
The tour even inspires some, like Iowa-based tourist Karen Mason, to make future plans.
I'd love to come back here with my sisters.
Brazos Tours plans to continue expanding here in Waco in the near future as the #1 experience. For more information on touring and pricing, you can visit the Fox 44 News website at fox44news.com. In Waco, Renako G, Destination Central Texas.
Waco has changed so much.
Right.
I anchored there for 3 years, back in 2006 to 2009.
There you go. So before all the change.
Before Chip and Joanna.
You said during when that was airing, you were like, I could have never imagined.
It was not on my bingo card for life.
Tours
of Waco. It's changed so much.
Yeah.
It's, I've been up there and done the shopping at Magnolia.
I mean, Magnolia is great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's good.
And if you're planning to head there this weekend, you've got the heat and you have temperatures that will be a few degrees cooler than today.
Okay.
So there you go. I like what you mentioned earlier, Toasty Tuesday. We've got Taco Tuesday. We've got Toasty Tuesday. We have dangerous heat in the forecast. Please make sure you're staying hydrated and really out of the sun as much as you can. Don't forget the sunscreen. Don't forget the hat, the sunglasses. UV index is extreme, so you know the drill. Despite the morning clouds, despite the afternoon haze, we're still going to be dealing with this, so please make sure you're reapplying it throughout the day today. A live look outside in the Round Rock area, the Buda area that is. We have conditions right now along the roadways moving along, but it's so warm and muggy still at the hour, sitting at 81 degrees. Where it's slightly cooler is where we had a little bit of rain overnight, and that's in areas of the hill country. 72 in Llano, 74 out in Lamp Passes and San Saba at 76 degrees, 80 in Rockdale. You factor in the humidity already, and it feels like we're in the 90s this morning. These feels like temperatures already at the hour into the lower 90s in LaGrange and Flatonia, and that's where we'll see those highest heat indices later on in the afternoon, upwards of 105 to maybe 115 or even greater than that. We had a feels like temperature here in Austin near 116 degrees, one of the highest feels like temperatures we have ever seen here in Austin on record over the past several decades. We do it all over again heading into the day tomorrow, but temperatures do get slightly a little bit better, and all has to deal with this ridge of high pressure system that starts to break down. It weakens a little bit and moves down towards the south and west. What that will allow is beginning tomorrow night into Thursday, we might get some disturbances that could even give us a little bit of some rain chances. But look at this doesn't last too long. It intensifies and it moves back into our area just in time for the weekend, and then the heat continues. Really remarkable to see this kind of heat this early in the season. We continue to see a quiet start to the morning now. We have no rain in the forecast today like what we've been dealing with the past few evenings. It's going to be tomorrow night that we start to see a few showers and thunderstorms pushing into our area late in the evening, beginning out in the hill country, then pushing eastward after 6, 7 o'clock, then into the metro here right around 10 o'clock or so. So 106 degrees for a high temperature today. That will be record tying, slightly cooler through the next few days, but look at this. The heat continues and even returns and gets more intense by next week.
Thank you, Sean. Local government may soon have less control on the rules that are meant to protect construction workers.
KXAN's Grace Reeder looks at how a bill recently signed into law in Texas could mean changes to a decades-old rule in Austin.
Union representatives say local rules that help keep these construction workers safe are about to be stripped. Governor Greg Abbott signed what opponents call the Death Star bill into law.
It was really disappointing to see that the governor signed that bill. I think that for cities throughout the state, it's going to tie their hands in setting policies that are meant to protect the citizens of their areas.
One of the local ordinances that's going away, Austin's mandatory water break for construction workers. It's been in place since 2010 and requires a water break every 4 hours.
Texas leads the nation in construction worker fatalities, particularly from overexposure to heat.
The president of the local Associated Builders and Contractors of Texas says safety on job sites is important to them too, but that mandatory water breaks are just a small piece of the puzzle, and that the bill will make it so that companies can act consistently.
In one case, one of my members has 19 active job sites in different jurisdictions, and having that consistency from job site to job site is really, really critical.
Meanwhile, the Texas Association of Business says this particularly helps small businesses who don't have legal departments and HR teams to track each and every city's rules.
Let the cities handle police, fire, cultural, trash collection, zoning, and let the state handle matters concerning regulations that our businesses need to comply with.
Workers' unions say that's the silver lining in this for them too. Now their fight to keep workers safe is headed to the state.
Now all we have is one battlefield, really, and that's the state house. So this very well could end up blowing up in their face.
Grace Reeder, KXAN News.
This law goes into effect at the start of September. Union experts say they expect a whole lot of lawsuits as cities work to figure out what they can and cannot regulate.
A warning on lake safety after a Round Rock man drowned late last week. The Bell County Sheriff's Office says it recovered the body of 72-year-old Dean Harbert. Deputies found him in Bell County's Stillhouse Hollow Lake. Sheriff's Office says it got a call from a woman concerned because she hadn't heard from her husband, who was camping in the area.
More remote workers are living in Austin. The city saw a record amount of growth during the pandemic. A new report from the New York Times shows that 28,000 remote workers moved to Austin during the onset of the COVID pandemic, marking the highest net gain of remote workers nationally. The analysis also found New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco were the three metros accounting for the highest losses of remote workers. Meanwhile, Denver saw an additional 23,000 remote employees, along with Nashville and Dallas's 10,000 each, to round out the top influxes.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Well, most of you.
Once I started playing, I played more golf with my dad than anybody else.
Back in October 2018, while playing around, Corey Sullivan's dad noticed a pain in his hip. That pain sparked trips to doctors and specialists, and then a diagnosis.
When he first got diagnosed, the first thing he told my brother and I was, do not Google this, because it's effectively, at this point in time, still unfortunately a death sentence.
Doctors diagnosed John Sullivan with ALS in December 2020.
He was so optimistic throughout all of it, knowing that, everything in Western medicine is basically counting you down and out.
John called in his wife and other son for essentially a final wish, and then Corey.
I come into the room after hearing these two very, frankly, heavy charges, and he says, Corey, lower your handicap.
Corey lost his dad 7 months after the diagnosis, but he's carried his advice with him. He's currently a scratch golfer using his passion on the green to work toward a cure.
This is one of the coolest things that I've ever had the pleasure of doing in my life.
Corey and his friend Alex Litt, whose dad is currently battling ALS, are golfing 100 holes Monday in the 100-degree heat at Onion Creek Golf Club in South Austin to raise money and awareness for ALS. The heat, yes, posing some challenges.
Lots of changes of clothes, socks, hats, you name it.
But as Sullivan and Litt grind through the heat, they say it's a fight that pales in comparison to that against ALS. The two wanted to raise around $25,000.
We are right around the $175,000 mark, so it's gone way beyond anything we ever could have dreamed of.
And keeping the memory of his father alive with each drive, chip, and putt.
He and I got to know each other. I mean, I was a teenager. I was probably a little bit hot-headed at times. It's probably not the easiest time to be parenting a kid, and so he and I really kind of got to come together on the golf course.
Yes, sir. Noah Gross, KXAN News.
Wow, Corey and Alex are keeping track of their scores and doing a friendly competition. They are doing live scoring online, and at last check, Alex is up by 7 over Corey. Hopefully they have some ice to munch on there, too. Going in depth, the ALS Association of Texas estimates 5 out of every 100,000 people in the United States will be diagnosed with ALS. It estimates just over 1,500 people living with ALS in the States.
29-year-old Wyndham Clark is taking the golf world by storm. After winning the 2023 U.S. Open this weekend, it was just his second ever professional victory after he turned pro in 2017. He won his first PGA Tour event in May at the Wells Fargo Championship. So you can tune in this morning as Clark has made the cross-country journey from L.A. to New York's Rockefeller Plaza, joining the Today Show for a live interview.
Thanks for joining KXAN News Today. You can also listen to KXAN News Nightly every weekday after 5:30 p.m. for in-depth coverage on what matters most to you.